Hey there, content people. What's going on? I'm John Doherty. I'm the founder here at Editor Ninja. So, today I want to talk with you about a topic that I've been thinking about a lot recently, which is basically the idea of doing a lot more. If we want to see more results, we need to put in more effort. Seems to make sense. But what I see is a lot of people kind of take the sit back approach of, well, I'll put more effort into it when I see that it's getting, results that are outstripping the effort that I'm currently putting into it. And while I get that, and I've done it before myself, and sometimes still operate that way. For example, when I was getting Editor Ninja off the ground, I said, I'll put more time into this when it shows me that it wants more time or that it needs more time. I did the same thing with Credo, my other company. But, I actually think I kind of got lucky with both of these and that they started working and then I put more time into it. But also, as I look back at it, putting in more effort ahead of time almost always gets us more results. So instead of sitting back and saying, well, I'm just kind of gonna do a bunch of, content over time, I'm going to, eventually end up at, let's say 250,000 visits a month from content. Uh, it actually, the math, if you look at it, actually works out to, it makes a ton more sense to put in a lot more effort up front because you're going to see results a lot faster. I'm going to show you how this works as a diagram. But also let me say that the reality often does not really work out like we think it is going to. So I am going to go ahead and show you my handy dandy iPad. So you can see here that I have basically an x-axis and a y-axis. And what I want to show you here is I'm going to start off with kind of how we usually approach growth, right? And how we usually approach creating content. So here in month one, we're kind of starting off, and this is traffic. We're creating some content, and then eventually it goes like this, right? We all want to show that quote unquote up and to the right graph. Awesome. That would be amazing if that is actually how it worked out. How it usually works out, though, because we're driving traffic to drive leads to drive revenue, right? How it usually works out, though, is I see people start kind of investing in content here, and then they start to see a bit of growth, but then they kind of peter out, right? Because right around here, they lose momentum because lack of results, right? Which is, and I know I have chicken scratch, but that is sad. This here is the what we have modeled, right? Modeled in for growth. So you end up around 250,000 visits a month. And if we look at the math, and I'm just kind of going to draw a quick, thing here for, months 1, 2, and then let's say month 12, and we're going to do month 9 here. And let's say traffic increases over time, right? We're doing say 2 to 4 posts a month. So we start off and let's say we have, 100 visits, and month 2, we have 500 visits. And month 9, we have say 45,000 visits, and month 12, we have 250,000 visits, right? 10% conversion rate. We have 10 leads here. We have 50 leads here. We have 4,500 leads here. And we have 20,000 leads here. Pretty great growth, right? Pretty cool. But what happens if we instead of just investing in content over the long term here, we actually kind of do this and it grows, right? So we've done a lot, multiples of growth of content being published here. And so traffic grew a lot faster. And what's interesting is here at the end, that is where, it's kind of petered out. Say we got to 200,000 visits in month 6, right? And we only quote unquote, end up at 250,000 by the end. We've ended up in the exact same place. And this is basically, what happens is the difference between these two, the math shows us that we get 4 to 6x more leads with investing in content here, a lot more content upfront, and then letting it grow and even letting it flatline there at the end, rather than consistently investing in content, and we end up at that 250,000. Now, as I said, this blue line is what we model in and what we want to happen, but almost never happens. What we really usually see is the red line down here, right? Where it kind of peters out and the company says like, we're not getting the results that we need to see. Because the way it works is, say you do, I'm just going to say a lot up front. And yeah, maybe month one, we have 100, right? But then, and in month 12, we end up at 250,000. I need another zero there. Month 9, we're at, say, 220,000, right? And it grows by 10K, each month. But month 2, and actually let's do like month 4 here, which is going to, and let's say we're at like even 20,000 visits here, which is 2,000 leads a month, right? But 100. And then in month 2, we go to, 10,000. Month 4, we're at like, 25,000 or even more. Let's even dial that up, right? Because that's probably how it's going to work. Because if we're doubling each month, right, 20, 40, so we're at 40,000 here. So we're already up in month 4, and it kind of, it scales up over time. Actually, the better way to do it is just think about like adding a zero. So let's say we actually get to 100,000 here, right? And so yeah, this first month we had 10 leads. Second month we had 1,000 leads versus 50 over here, right? This month we have 10,000 leads. Final month we end up at 25,000 leads, but this is 22,000 leads instead of 4,500 leads, right? We end up with substantially more because we actually invested in a lot of growth, a lot of content ahead of time. We got it out a lot faster. It started ranking, it started growing, it started driving leads, and we end up with 4 to 6x the number of leads, even though we end up, and I'm just going to use a different color here just for illustrative purposes, we end up at the same place at the end. So this is why I believe in investing in a lot more content ahead of time. If you can, right, you have the budget and you're able to do it, instead of spreading it out, over the year, right, over this time here, and probably actually ending up here along the sad red line. If you have the budget for the year to produce all this content, say you're going to produce 100 pieces of content in a year, divided by 8, that's 12-ish a month, right? And that's kind of what the blue line here shows. But you're going to produce 100 pieces of content. Why not produce all that content in 2 months' time, right? You already have the budget procured, right? Unless you're like operating on like a cash basis and it's like a monthly budget. If you have the annual budget and the cash is already there, why not just invest in it up front and then put more time into promotion and actually let it spike, let it grow way faster, because you're going to end up with a lot more leads. So this is just how the math breaks down, right? This is how it actually looks over time, to invest a lot more upfront as opposed to over time, or hoping to over time, but then actually, you lose momentum and other things, get in the way. Leverage the momentum that you have at the start of the year, or when you've just procured the content budget, to get a lot of content produced ahead of time, so that you can reap the benefits. You're going to see a lot more results, and content is going to be seen as a much more successful part of your overall marketing mix. You're much less likely to get your budget cut. You've already spent it, but also you've shown the results, so you're not going to get it cut for next year. And then, of course, this is really what I'm showing here is, around this time they stopped really investing in it, right? But if you can keep investing in more content, then really what's going to happen is you're not actually going to start petering off, but you're actually, going to keep growing, and maybe you end up at, say, 400,000 visits in a month. And then, you're driving just a crazy amount of leads. So, I'm John Doherty. This has been an exposition on why you should invest more upfront so you can see results faster, and how the math actually works out for the number of leads that you've driven, and therefore the results that you drive for your business. So I hope that helps. If you're producing a lot of content, you're either going to produce a lot of content to start out with, or you're producing it over time. Both work. I've done both approaches. And you need to buy back some of your time because you don't have the resources anymore, or you just need more time to put into creating briefs and managing writers and that sort of thing. If that's where you are, come talk to us at Editor Ninja, editorninja.com/demo, or click the button below this video. And I would love to speak with you. I would love to talk with you about what makes us different, how we approach editing, who our team is, and how we do what we do to make your life easier. So thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you all later.